All right, everybody, welcome back to Skyfall Sessions. Let's get into some more election news.
The new polling suggests that Donald Trump and Kamala Harris are deadlocked in literally every single battleground state, meaning this race continues to be an extremely tight one. Now, the Cook Political Report, which does surveys with their swing state project, shows that Harris polls between 1 and 3 points ahead in 5 of these swing states, which is easily in the margin of error. And in a 6th state, North Carolina, Harris and Trump were exactly tied. Now, Harris leads Trump in Michigan by 3 percentage points, and she also leads by 1 or 2 points in Arizona, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, where she's actually holding a rally with the Cheneys today. Trump is leading by 2 percentage points head-to-head in Georgia. But she is, well, let's check in and see if she's doing any better than Biden. According to this particular poll, in the May survey that they had done, when President Joe Biden was still in the race, Trump led in 6 states and tied in Wisconsin.
Okay, so we definitely have a few implications there. I do kind of like that. It kind of makes it seem that Biden was even further behind than Kamala is right now, and he still persevered. So let's see what this means for the election going forward.
So Kamala Harris is, in fact, according to this poll, performing better than Biden was. And so that's good news, but it's not good news when you consider how tight this race is. And every strategy that we've seen from Democrats to hurt Trump and help get Kamala Harris elected doesn't really seem to be working. Cenk did a live video yesterday on the special counsel's indictment into Donald Trump. They unsealed that indictment, and now we have additional details about what Trump is accused of doing in order to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election. I don't know if that's even going to make a dent at this point, but it just seems like nothing's working. And I think Democrats need to look inward and figure out what is it about our party that makes voters not trust us, not want to vote for us, and consider someone like Donald Trump instead.
Yeah. So great point. I mean, look, I'm both mystified by this and totally get it at the same time. But we at least know the base of knowledge, and you know the base of knowledge as to why these phenomena are happening. People in mainstream media have no idea, and they're constantly like, I don't understand. And it's because the American people don't like the establishment. They don't.
Yeah, and this is what most people don't realize. We look at the news, and we look at regular news, and then we look at like stuff like on YouTube or like private journalism like the Young Turks or Roland Martin and stuff like that, and we just don't realize that, oh wow, we've been brainwashed by the mainstream media. And this is a perfect example of that.
Like the powerful, they feel like they're being oppressed by big business, big government, etc. That's not a hard concept to understand because it's in every single poll. But they read those polls and can't see them. They're blinded by their own bias because they're in the establishment. It's like the Israelis can't see that they're the ones that just killed 41,000 people in Gaza, that they are the much more powerful force, and they have a right to exist. They are existing, and the Palestinians have no right to exist because of Israel. But they can't see any of that, even though it's obvious to the rest of the world, because they're blinded by their bias.
Blinded by their bias. That is one of the most dangerous things in the world, in my opinion, and that's what perpetuates so many wars, in my opinion, or that's why so many wars happen, rather. And if we don't start to look inwardly, have a little bit of introspection, especially these world leaders who are full of hubris like Netanyahu, then I don't know how we're going to survive as a world.
If Democrats couldn't see that Joe Biden was too old. That's amazing, right? They just can't see reality. Now, the part that I'm mystified by is, I mean, there's a billion things about Trump that's wrong, right? Well, we do TrumpBrackets.com, where we had hundreds of submissions, 64 gigantic ones, etc. But there's 2 things that stand out so much. After he lost the election, not only did he do a fake elector scheme to organize a coup against America, but he said it. He said we should terminate the Constitution. All rules, regulations, and articles in the Constitution should be terminated so that Trump could be president.
And this is why I like Cenk a lot, because he really he doesn't hold back on saying the raw facts. This is what's really going on. This guy tried to overthrow the country and then terminate the Constitution. If you're still voting for him, you're basically against the country at this point.
Okay, and then the second thing is now this new motion shows a second source saying, "Hey, Mr. President, they're trying to kill your vice president. Mike Pence's life is in danger because your fans are trying to kill him." And he said, "Quote, so what?" And he told Mark Meadows, "I think he deserves it." So
It is
Quote
incredible because
quote so what? Like, this man is he's a monster in any way you can think of.
you would think that news like that and details like that would change the minds of a lot of voters who currently support Donald Trump. But you also have to think about what is impacting Americans day to day, right? So when you think about protecting democracy, I think for a lot of people, they might think, well, the media is being hyperbolic about this. Remember, there's a lack of trust toward the media. So the source where the information is coming from might not be a source that they trust. But also think about what Americans are affected by day to day. And that's what their priorities are going to be when it comes to choosing the politician that they want to represent them and their interests. And look, I made this point yesterday, but I'm going to make it again because I was listening to some news about Donald Trump's speeches and recent rallies. And look, one thing that's clear about Trump is he's simplistic in what he says and he's repetitive. And so what he keeps repeating in every single rally, no tax on tips, no tax on tips, no tax on tips, in an economy, which is essentially a service economy where the majority of workers work in the service industry, that is a big deal. And when you look at Kamala Harris,
Now I know some people are going to watch this and say, "See, Anna moved to the right, and she's promoting Trump, and she's about to disparage Kamala." That's not the case. She's not on the right just because she's saying facts. It's just true. It's political strategy. That's all it is, really.
has put out some statements about what her agenda would be, what kind of policies she would pursue, but it's not as simplistic. It's a lot more nebulous, if that makes any sense. And it's hard for people to take it and kind of think about how it would be applied to their personal life and how it would improve their personal life. You get what I'm saying?
of course, look,
Yeah.
there's 100 ways to be a populist that are so easy. I mean, when you talk about housing, her plans on housing aren't bad, but if she went on the stump and said, "This is exactly how private equity buys up your houses and then turns you into renters and steals the value of your homes from you," she would be the most popular politician in America by a landslide, right? But private equity funds her campaign. They fund Trump's campaign. So they've neutralized both candidates and that are not telling you the real story.
And this is the tragedy of money in politics. If money wasn't in politics, then Kamala may do all of the right things. Biden probably would have done more of the right things, and Obama definitely would have very likely done more of the right things. But when you're held back by people who basically have you on the hook with their dollars, then there's not much you can do about that.
And look, I don't want you to get the wrong impression. Donald Trump, obviously a fake populist. Is he going to get rid of taxes on tips? There's no chance he's going to do that. Instead, he's going to cut the corporate tax rate one more time from 21% down to 15. So, but at least he's faking it. Whereas the other side, they did it for like a minute. Tim Walz, populist agenda, and then the Biden team took back over. No interviews. They started renouncing some of their populist policies, and they went back into corporate mode. So that's why they can't beat someone who's an obvious monster, and that
And this is such basic politics. It's so funny. I'm relatively new into the political world and paying attention to this kind of stuff at this level, and yet this seems so incredibly obvious. Come on, guys.
they should be landsliding. Guys, last thing on how Trump's so easy to beat. Like, imagine if the same exact scenario as Trump, with the same exact sourcing, right? But it's about Barack Obama and how he thought his fans should murder Joe Biden. What do you think would have happened? That would be the largest story of our lifetimes. Everybody knows that, right? Imagine if Biden's chief of staff goes to him and says, "Sir, your fans, they think you're young and dynamic. They're really upset that Kamala Harris might replace you. They're trying to murder her. They're chanting, 'Hang Kamala Harris, hang Kamala Harris.'" And Biden said she deserves it. The largest story of all of our lifetimes, times 10,
And when you put it in this kind of perspective, this is an actual fact. Now, I know every right winger is going to say, "Oh, the Democrats get away with everything," but it's not true. It's not even close. The right wing does far more ridiculous things than the left has ever done.
everybody knows it. Same exact thing with Donald Trump. Barely a blip. And by the way, the Democrats barely mention it.
I know. Wait, hold on. Mention what?
That he was didn't mind his vice president being murdered. Like, that's not a thing they talk about often at all. They mention January 6th. They say
they talk about he's a threat to democracy.
But why
okay,
not?
Fair. But I don't know how much that's going to move the needle, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, no, but that's the insanity of it, guys. That's the insane. Look, I get it. MAGA doesn't believe anything.
I'm not talking about MAGA.
And in fact, I told you this.
I think I get where Anna's getting at, but yeah, because we are actually both Shank and Anna, because we're sitting here in a world where something that insane is this politically charged, and we're wondering whether or not it will move the needle from a political perspective. It's ridiculous, guys.
Before, on social media, I put out this story that's indisputable, and you know what? They didn't dispute it. Half of them were like, "Yeah, we don't mind. We don't mind if Mike Pence was murdered, because then Donald Trump would be president." Okay, there's nothing you could do about MAGA, but there's tons of independents who would not vote for anyone who wanted their vice president murdered. Okay, because that's beyond insane.
Right. And I think I'll go ahead and end it here, because it's very clear what we're getting at here. We are deadlocked in a contentious race, neck and neck race, with a person who literally said he doesn't care if his vice president is killed. Guys, this is ridiculous. You got to get out there and vote. You got to get rid of Trump. Even if you're Republican, please pay attention to how insane this is. Can we at least go back to regular conservatives? Because Trump ain't it, and I think y'all know it. Anyways, you guys check out my videos if you can. Brand new channel. I'm going to be putting things out. I'm going to try on a daily basis, but we'll see, every few days at least. Yeah, just check me out. Like and subscribe if you can, and appreciate you guys for watching.